Hi guys, it's Christina for Redefine Creative, and I am joining my friend Crystal for her Off the Board series today, where we are focusing on using our Pinterest pins. And so this is the layout that I have on my board, and it's from Jelly Bean Soup, and I really love the black title, so I wanted to create that element very first. So I went to my silhouette and I printed out, or I cut out this word Adorbs. And what I did is I printed it out, or I cut it out like 5 different times, the exact same word, exact same size. And then I'm going to take my Nuvo glue and I'm just putting tiny dots of glue throughout that entire piece. And I'm just going to stack up all of these layers of cardstock. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have a really cool dimensional word that's going to pop up off the page. And I really like that look. So I'm using this 4x4 photo of my daughter, and she's wearing this pink shirt that says Fearless on it, and a pink bow in her hair. So I definitely wanted to pull some paper that had pinks. And so I'm going to use kind of a combination of paper from Sparkle City as well as from Horizon. So these are kind of the, not this, the set of releases that's going on right now, but the Creativation set of releases. And so I'm just cutting a bunch of strips of pattern paper, and I'm wanting them to be about a half an inch. So I'm just cutting a few strips in a whole bunch of different colors. So I've got some polka dots, I've got florals, I have some text, all different kinds of colors, but all of my strips are essentially going to be the same size. So I've taken my photo and I've added a tiny white mat around that photo, and then I'm going to use this white strip down the middle, just like in the sketch. And rather than using a pale blue background, I'm going to use pink. And so I've taken my Lime Ricky, which is this really great lime colored ink pad from Catherine Pooler, and I've inked the edges of the pink paper as well as the white and around my photo. I am not going to ink the edges of all of these little tiny strips of paper because I feel like that's going to make them a little bit too bold, and I don't want it to seem super, super busy. So rather than inking the edges of all of those, I'm going to leave them without that inking so that they kind of have a little bit more of a subtle look. And then I did go back in and I added a few strips of black and white washi tape because none of the pattern paper I picked had that black detail to it, but I wanted to use the black title and some black accents. So 3 of those little strips of pattern paper are actually washi tape, the little black with the white plus signs. And then I'm going through and I'm pulling out a bunch of floral elements, and this was from the Florals pack that came with the Horizon collection. And I'm just kind of arranging them a little bit down the page, and I'm going to end up kind of changing my mind on that. So I'm just kind of playing around with where I want the florals to go, kind of in the same arrangement as what the sketch has. I am layering up some of those die cuts so that there is going to be a little bit of dimension. And then I decide I want to have a little bit of this green kind of inky mixed media look behind where the flowers are going to peek out. So it's going to kind of create a little bit of a halo effect behind my floral clusters. And I'm just using that same Lime Rinky ink pad with my blender tool to go ahead and do that. Like I said, I am going to add a little bit of dimension to some of these clusters, so I'm putting some dimensional adhesive behind a few of the little elements that I am adding to the page. And anytime I work with clusters of florals like this, I make sure that I have some that go underneath the edges of my photo and my photo mat and some that go over the top, because I want to create lots of different kind of layers and dimension. And so having things overlap a little bit on the top of your photo as well as carrying that element below your photo kind of creates that extra look of layers and layers of work when really it's a pretty simple look to create. So as I'm going, I was drawn to this Vicki Boutin sticker pack because I wanted some black phrases. Just like she has in her layout, she has the title and then she has some black phrases underneath. So I grabbed this Vicki Boutin, but none of the phrases that are on there are really working for me. So I'm going to kind of put those off to the side and think about what I want to use instead. I did grab this Happy Planner sticker set because I knew it had some black and white kind of florals and leaves and things. And I try a few of them in different areas on the layout because I was thinking about just adding a little bit of an extra black element. But because they have a white border, I just felt like they didn't really go with the feel of the page. I also tried to use those black and white hearts, and that didn't work either. So I went ahead and went back to the tried and true foam thickers, and they just always seem to work, right? So I went ahead and added the little kind of doodled hand-drawn hearts, and I have one by my title, one by my large embellishment cluster, and then I do have another little embellishment cluster down there on the bottom of my page on the right-hand side, just to kind of create that and finish off that visual triangle, because I have the two areas of florals around my photo, and then that one down at the bottom. And once I get the phrases and everything on there, it's going to really create some continuity there. So I go ahead and grab my small talk booklet from Tim Holtz, and that is always my go-to because it always has the kinds of words and phrases I'm looking for. So I went with no beauty shines brighter than that of a good heart, live each day with grace and authenticity, and those who don't believe in magic will never find it are the three that I kind of end up with. And I do nestle them pretty close together. I don't want them to take up a huge emphasis on the page, but I do decide that I want to kind of add a little bit of a floral detail just around one side. I feel like it's a little too much and a little too busy on both sides, but adding just one kind of finishes off the look. I am, of course, going to my Spiegel Mom Scrap sequins for just a little bit of shine and different texture on the page. The collection I'm using is called Easy Breezy Beautiful, and that has kind of the blues and turquoise, and then I just grabbed some additional pink ones off my desk, and that's basically going to do it for this layout. So I hope that you have enjoyed this entire month with Crystal doing this off the board series, and I will be back to see you again soon with more inspiration. Have a good one and get in your craft room and create something today. Bye guys!